You know the stereotype, right? The stressed out PhD student, just drowning in books, living on coffee. For a long, long time, we've kind of brushed it off as, well, that's just part of the deal. But what if it's more than that? What if it's a real clinical crisis? Well, for the first time, new research is moving past the anecdotes and using hard data to measure the hidden cost of that degree. Let's dig in.
So when we talk about the real cost, what does that actually mean? To get to the bottom of it, we first have to look at how we've been measuring or maybe mismeasuring this problem for years.
For decades, our understanding has been based on self-reported surveys, asking students, how stressed are you? But honestly, it's pretty easy for institutions to look at that and just write it off as, well, stress. This new study is a total game changer because it completely ignores those surveys. Instead, it looks at something objective, something you just can't argue with, actual prescriptions for psychiatric medication. And here's why this approach is so incredibly powerful. First, they didn't just grab a small sample. They analyzed the entire PhD student population in Sweden, the whole group. Second, they used official medical records, so we're talking about diagnosed clinical need, not just someone having a bad week. And finally, and this is key, they compared them to a perfectly matched control group, people with master's degrees in the same fields. This makes their conclusions just about as solid as you can get.
Okay, so with this incredibly robust data, what did they actually find? Well, let's follow the story it tells over the 5-year journey of a typical PhD program.
Now this, right here, might be the most crucial finding in the entire study. Before they even start, PhD students are just as mentally healthy as their peers. Their use of psychiatric medication is identical. Let that sink in for a second. The people who choose to do a PhD aren't the variable here. They start out healthy. But the moment they enroll in that program, everything changes. Just look at this graph. It's not a random spike. It's a clear, steady, relentless climb in medication use year after year after year. This isn't just one tough semester we're seeing. It's a 5-year upward trend. By the time you get to the 5th year, that steady climb has led to this number, 40%. That is a 40% increase in the use of psychiatric medication from where they started. And the timing is no accident. This peak lines up perfectly with the period of most intense academic pressure, finishing the dissertation, facing an uncertain job market, and that whole publish or perish culture.
A 40% spike is, well, it's a staggering number. So the big question is, what's causing it? Is it just certain fields or a certain type of person? The beauty of this data is that it allows us to make a surprisingly clear diagnosis.
First things first, the data shows this problem is everywhere. This mental health tax hits students across the board, whether you're in the humanities, social sciences, or natural sciences. So, this tells us it's a feature of the general academic model itself, not just a bug in 1 or 2 departments.
But, and this is the smoking gun, there is one massive exception: students in medical and health sciences. Their graph is basically a flat line. They don't show that same spike in medication use. This forces us to ask a really important question. What is structurally different about their programs? What supports or boundaries or clearer career paths do they have that are missing everywhere else?
And here it is, the final, damning piece of the puzzle. Look what happens after year 5, once these students graduate and leave the system. Medication use drops, and it drops sharply. The second they are out of that academic environment, they start getting better.
So let's just put it all together. You have people who start out healthy. They experience a 40% spike in the need for clinical intervention during the program, and they start to recover the moment they leave. The conclusion is pretty much unavoidable. The problem isn't the people. The data isolates the PhD environment itself as the primary pathogen. The system is the variable.
So, if we've diagnosed the environment as the problem, then logically, that's what we have to fix. So what does redesigning the environment actually look like?
For far too long, the default solution has been to try and fix the student. Offer some wellness seminars, suggest a mindfulness app, but that's just treating the symptom. This data demands that we shift our focus to fixing the environment. That means changing the system itself, rethinking evaluation, enforcing better boundaries, and learning from the structures that seem to protect students in those medical programs. It's about removing the cause of the illness, not just putting a bandage on the wound.
And the great thing is, this isn't just a theory. We can actually do this. We can proactively map out interventions to flatten that 5-year curve. By building in more structured support systems, clearer checkpoints, and better career pathways, kind of like what we see in the medical fields,
we can fundamentally change the trajectory for these students.
Ultimately, this data tells a really clear story that we just can't afford to ignore anymore. It leaves us with this final, crucial thought. A 40% structural tax on the mental health of our brightest minds is an unsustainable model for innovation. So the real question for all of us is, what are we going to do about it?